Vox recently ran a piece headlining "Stop requiring college degrees for jobs that don't need them." This is Zach from the Money Channel, and I think it's best we dive into it. As an overview, in recent years, politicians from both parties have been promoting policies to help non-college educated workers, partly because they have struggled to earn support from this group of voters. For decades, job postings have reflexively required college degrees, leading to many high-paying jobs being out of reach for the two-thirds of the American workforce without a college degree. However, recent announcements by governors and the president have eliminated the requirement for a 4-year college degree for many jobs in state government, which has been backed by research and a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign. This effort aims to educate employers on the broken hiring practices that have been unnecessarily locked out many non-college educated workers from higher-paying American jobs. The goal is to create more opportunities for these workers to access good-paying jobs without requiring a college degree. This is a very important topic. Let's see what people's reactions to this are. And they require masters for jobs that barely need a bachelor's, doctorates for jobs that can be done after a master's. It's a huge problem and yet another giveaway to the universities paid for by the lower and middle class. We have PhDs on our payroll that do undergrad stuff, like maybe a couple do actual research, the rest are out there doing German chem lab work or basic Python scripting. There's another side to that too. When I started my PhD, most of my cohort could define the career objective as tenure track, but every professor with tenure meant many new PhDs, so there will inevitably be more people with a PhD than tenure track positions. So they finish their PhD and usually choose between sessional work that pays roughly fast food money or work they could have done with their undergraduate degree. Grad school is usually a really bad investment, but at the doctorate level, the math is really bad for people. I would love a PhD, but financially I'm very happy I ran away with my first good offer. It took about 4 years to get my PhD. I was paid £34,000 in total stipend during that time. It then took me over 6 months to get a 6-month postdoc contract which paid £25,000 a year. So over half a decade, that exercise paid me an average of under £10,000 per year, which was pretty close to starvation given that my rent was about £100 a week during this period. If I had walked into a job in 2007, then I'm pretty sure I would have made at least £25,000 a year, so in effect the opportunity cost £75,000. I estimate that my PhD is probably worth about 15% of my pay, so with no discount factor, the payoff period is over a decade. In reality, when you include progressive taxation and a discount factor, the payoff period would be much longer. In reality, the reason for getting a PhD is because it grants you access to more interesting work, not because it's going to make you rich. However, at least part of that is because engineering is severely undervalued in the UK. The thing that people aren't quite understanding is from the employer's perspective, if I see that you have a bachelor's or master's degree in something and you're applying for my 30 to 40,000 a year job, I know that you are buried in debt and desperate for work. You're showing your hand and I know I can take advantage of you because you desperately need this job. This is what a lot of the degree inflation is about. It's finding these people. Here's another thing from the employee's perspective. We know you're exploiting us and you won't receive loyalty. You'll have a combination of yes people and lifers, the small minority of people who stay more than a few years, and a turnover problem, talent drain. Some of us jump ship and keep getting higher wages because, brace yourself, amount of debt does not equal talent level. We have advanced degrees and critical thinking skills, you goddamn baboon. Guess what guys, I'm a genius because I realize people have to pay their light bill, so I can treat them like crap due to the power imbalance through leverage around a magic Gandalf number called debt. Just spades man, mind blown organizational genius. Good luck with your business model, you filthy little wizard. They'll never know, I'll never tell. But also, if you have a master's, you might not get hired at all, no matter how much you might need the job, because they know you are overqualified and can bail at any time. Wasn't it Philadelphia public schools where math and reading proficiency of high school graduates was at a stunning 0% for some of their schools? If the government is just going to focus on shoving kids out of the door, whether or not they are actually educated, then employers have to use something else. Yup, a college degree is now just a filtering process, same as a cover letter. Jobs get thousands of applications, filter them out. When interest rates became too low, the cost of things that could be or regularly were financed inflated into the sky. Homes, cars, tuition, so on, circa sometime after Y2K. I graduated from a state university in America in '98. My tuition in state was about $1,300 per semester full time. My tuition was about $2,800 per semester at a state school in 2020 when I graduated. To be fair, at the ideal inflation rate of 2%, you should expect things to be 1.64 times higher in 25 years. At 4% inflation, you're looking at 2.67 times. The US really needs to adopt the German system, put more emphasis on vocational and trade schools, invest more in technical and technological education, and end unlimited government loans for colleges and universities. This unlimited lending and granting led universities to charge whatever they want, leading to useless administrative bloat, thus creating a need for further price increases, the whole thing is a farce. I support this 100%. I do want to add that vocational training schools should add more curriculums to teach critical thinking skills. General education sometimes have merits. Doesn't the German system also have really inexpensive university? Why did you leave that off your list? Fun fact, the fraction of Germans who actually go to college is significantly less than the fraction of Americans. People always conveniently forget to mention that. College may be free, but they tell 2/3 of the kid, sorry, you can't college material, and don't give them the chance, often at a very young age. Yes, they do a much better job of offering vocational training and not culturally shaming blue-collar professions, but American parents don't want to be told that little Susie isn't cut out for college. It's because of the surplus of people with degrees. It does mean something, unless you pay them less. The degree means you have someone that passed something that took some time learning and some standards over not knowing anything about someone. In the 70s and 80s, you could work your way to an engineer without a degree. It was a career path that could have started as an assembler, but there weren't enough degreed people to fill the job requirements. I literally see basic clerical office jobs that required bachelor's degrees, and for what? The other outstanding requirements are basically must know how to use Office and Excel. I think this is basically laziness on part of the employer. They use college as an easy filter. They figured that it does take some time to graduate, therefore the person is at least somewhat productive. As with anything supply-demand, when they can't find people, they will lower the bar and actually take the effort to interview and find qualified candidates. There's no time to look through 160 resumes for such and such job. If we add a 2-year degree for the same pay, we eliminate 50% of the applications who are looking for anything. Add a 4-year degree to eliminate 75%, now you've got 40 resumes of people who you know at least can read, write, use a computer, and you can see when they graduated college to look for younger, cheaper employees. Same thing for experienced jobs. You can change the job duties to some keywords in industry that most people don't understand, so they look at the other way. The college degree requirement is, in my opinion, one of the major reasons for the dwindling birth rates in developed countries. Young adults spend additional 5 years getting education that they might not even need or use on the job, and during that time, very few will consider to have a child. After these 5 years, you're most likely still a nobody on the job market because all these companies have no problem both acquiring a degree and claiming that you have zero skills, and therefore your salary should reflect that. So the next few years are being spent working on your career so that your salary isn't crap, and so you can do better than sharing a single apartment with a bunch of strangers. And all of a sudden, you're 35. Even if you manage to get a stable relationship in the meantime, and you've been together long enough to know children are a good idea, it just so happens that around this age, women tend to start having pregnancy complications. And the decision to not have children becomes way easier to make than the decision to have them. Many of us have been saying this for years. If everyone ends up with a bachelor's degree, then it will take a bachelor's degree to flip burgers at McDonald's. It's the new high school diploma, but more expensive. Doctors, scientists, engineers, teachers, depending on what they are teaching, these people need degrees. Almost everyone else does not. The skills required for most other jobs can be self-taught or learned through OJT, or at the most through 2-year degrees at community colleges. Being intelligent and well-informed is important, but a college degree isn't necessary to become that way. Just my 2 cents. I mean, a big part of the solution is pretty simple. Drastically downsize your HR department and, as a manager, interview your own applicants. Talk to them. You know your job, HR doesn't. HR kills your application pool. They don't typically have any idea how to actually do the job they're screening people for, so the only thing they can go off are credentials, job history, and bullcrap personality screening tests. I guarantee that for every decent applicant you see, you probably lost 5 to 6 more because HR is screening resumes on entry-level jobs as if a college degree means anything for 90% of them. I have a bachelor's in education. I work in waste management. I was told I wouldn't have gotten hired without the bachelor's. Why? Absolutely none of my schooling is field relevant to my current job. What kills me is seeing kids go for degrees in real estate. I kid you not, the barrier to entry is low and people with low IQs can get a license and become an agent. It pays me when I meet an 18-year-old working at Walmart going for a real estate degree for 4 years. The top 20 agents in any community rarely have degrees. If anything, a few were doctors that didn't find success in the medical world and turned to slinging houses. Also, you don't need a business degree to run a successful business. I was an idiot that went for a useless business degree. All of my successful business friends do not have a completed college education. Some have trade school certifications. That's really it.